and people that are talking about they need to get out of our country. Guess what? You need to get out of this country because this country's not yours either. The Native Americans are the ones that were here, and we robbed them of their land. So
wait! Don't say we.
Nigga, we.
You didn't rob them of nothing, Sean.
Correct.
I didn't rob them of nothing.
Forgive me. I got a little overwrought.
Don't get too PC on us now.
when white Americans say that and they talk about y'all need to go back to wherever y'all came from, you go back to where you came from, which was England and Ireland and Scotland.
Okay. Caucasoids.
And the Caucasoidal Mountains, right. Welcome to the TMF Podcast, where we have too many feelings. I'm your host, T. Staples, and today I'm joined by...
It's your main man, Freddie B. We checking in and we in the building.
All right. And who else we got over there?
Hey, what it do? It's your girl, Lana Boo.
Boo, y'all. But hey, it's not just you. Who else we got?
And it's my main squeeze, my bae, my husband, the main event voice himself is in the building, Mr. Sean Parker.
We talking about practice.
I heard. Well, y'all must be, because she said her main squeeze. It ain't no other squeezes, is it?
No, that's just
the one and only.
The one and only.
It's the main event. It ain't no other events.
The main event.
There's no undercard over here.
Okay, so it's the main event, but the one and only main event. Gotcha.
The one and only.
Oh, okay. All right. And down in Nashville, who else we got down there?
It's the good doctor, Dr. Buddy Lee.
Now, how we know you a good doctor? Where your ratings at? I need to see your accreditation, sir.
The patients will tell you about it.
If they got the patience to tell me about it. So look, we'll bring you all these feelings from the comforts of our home. That's right, 100% remote. So if you feel our show, show us how you feel by subscribing so you can get notified when the new episodes drop. And if you like what you're hearing, send us a message. Our handles are in the description below. We'd love to hear how you feel. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about, are we becoming too PC in today's society? That's right, politically correct, people. But first, it's time for a moment I like to call the Internet Never Loss.
Oh, snap.
That's right. In my attempt to navigate through the endless insanity of interconnectivity that we all call the Internet, I went on a quest. Now, I know you all just recently saw the Meghan Markle and Oprah interview. It came on CBS. But that's not the quest I went on. No. I went on the quest to find out what in the hell is going on with Alex Beresford and Piers Morgan. And particularly Piers Morgan, because he walked off his show just recently. Look, y'all don't believe me? Take a listen to this conversation.
I've walked into institutions as the only person of colour and experienced covert and overt racism on so many occasions. And why the Meghan interview really resonates with me is because an ex-work colleague, not of this show, asked me if I was worried about the shade of cocoa that my son was going to come out.
Right. Not cocoa.
So I fully understand the hurt that is behind all of that.
Right, let me ask...
And when you're mixed race, what you find, in my personal experience, and there may be other people that may come forward and say this, is that when you are a lighter shade of black, people gain confidence and feel that they can say things to you that they wouldn't say to a black person.
So, dude.
And there will be people that will treat Harry and Meghan differently because they've spoken out.
Okay.
But this is the whole thing. We've got to get comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. And that's why it's important for me and you to have this conversation.
Right, but let's just not make it personal. It's fine.
It's not...
You made it personal. Well, let's move on from that.
It's hard because,
Alex?
you know what, we talk personally about, people on this show and we give our opinions on them, don't we? So actually sometimes it does come back at you. We have to be,
It's fine. It's just the way it was done. We can disagree about that. Meghan Markle said that there was a decision taken by the palace to stop Archie being a prince based on his potential skin colour. That is completely untrue. That's just not true. Now, the damaging effect of that, plus whatever may have been said to Harry, and we don't know what it was or the context, and we don't know who said it, But it was those two things have detonated as you know, a racially charged bomb at the palace, which is almost impossible for them to refute because they don't talk in public about this kind of thing. And people aren't probably going to believe them even if they do now. But that's what concerns me, is that the first part of that allegation, we don't know any of the details or who said it or how they said it. And the second one is completely untrue. Meghan just got it wrong. Archie hasn't been prevented from being a prince because of his skin colour. And that's been now believed by Americans on national television.
Yep.
And that is damaging.
But again, do you know what? It's their lived experience. And
no, it's not true.
Well, look, Piers, it's their lived experience. And again, this is where the confusion comes in. Because, you know, how do you sometimes identify covert racism? It's actually quite hard because it's not there for you.
But Alex, on that one, it's not true.
I know,
There's no covert racism.
But Piers, what you're saying is there are facts.
Right.
And what Alex is saying is there is an experience and a perception of those facts that you only appreciate when you're in that situation.
No, I'm sorry. On that second part, on the first part, I agree. If it turns out, let me make it crystal clear where I stand on this.
Go ahead, Ian.
If it turns out that a senior member of the royal family, a future king perhaps of this country, we don't know who it is. I don't want to cast... The aspersions are being cast because they won't say. But they have eliminated the Queen and Prince Philip. So they've gone halfway, which I think is incredibly unfair on the ones who are left. But say it is a future king that said this in a derogatory way. We can't have a racist king.
We can't.
So that, to me, would be racism. If it was said derogatory... But the second part of the charge, that Archie has been banned from being a prince because of his skin colour, is just untrue. It's nothing to do with racism. The fact itself on which she's based that claim is not true.
Except her perception appears to be that it might have been...
Well, it's like me saying the sky's blue outside. My perception is it's raining. You can't muck around with facts. She got the facts wrong on that. It's been demonstrated today in every paper. That fact is simply untrue. There's been no discrimination against Archie in terms of being called a prince because of his skin colour, because he's not entitled at the moment to be called a prince. Just the rules of the palace.
Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
OK, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
So, do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, maybe not mine.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do this.
This is absolutely diabolical behaviour.
Where are you going? Why you run away? What are you doing? Wait, I understand. OK, so basically what you just heard there was an interchange between Alex Beresford and Piers Morgan, and which Piers Morgan ends up walking away at the end. But on the topic of covert racism, okay, so he's gone, and Alex is left there still trying to explain the situation. And let's jump to America, because now we got Sharon Osborne, who decides, well, I have to protect my friend, and I stand by what he said. Is what he's saying covert racism? We don't know, but let's see what she had to say about this whole situation when she gets questioned by her friend, Sheryl Underwood.
So I really would like to know, because I've been knowing you for years since I've been here, and I've never seen anything come out of you other than, if I don't know, I'm willing to learn. If it comes off a certain way, I stand corrected.
Right.
That's the only thing I've seen.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people who may feel that while you're standing by your friend, it appears that you give validation or safe haven to something that he has uttered that is racist, even if you don't agree? Am I saying it right? Okay,
I don't know what he's uttered that's racist. I'm not trying to slide out of this one.
Right.
I don't know. Tell me, what has he uttered that's racist? I feel even like I'm about to be put in the electric chair because I have a friend who many people think is a racist, so that makes me a racist. And for me, at 68 years of age, to have to turn around and say, I ain't racist.
Right.
What's it got to do with me? Okay? How can I be racist about anybody? How can I be racist about anybody or anything in my life?
Easy.
How can I?
Well, I tell you,
what?
We'll be right
Well,
back.
what?
We have more topics, so don't go away.
And I think we should stop this.
Ooh.
I will ask you again, Sheryl.
Yes.
I've been asking you during the break. I am asking you again. And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying. It should be me. This is the situation.
Yeah.
You tell me where you have heard him say, educate me. Tell me when you have heard him say racist things. Educate me. Tell me.
It is not the exact words of racism. It's the implication and the reaction to it. To not want to address that because she is a black woman and to try to dismiss it or to make it seem less than what it is. That's what makes it racist. But right now, I'm talking to a woman who I believe is my friend. And I don't want anybody here to watch this and say that we're attacking you for being racist. And for that, if I articulated
I think it's
anything,
too late. I think that seed's already sown.
But that is why I'm saying for me. I'm saying for me. For me. I thought I was asking a question about the perception for other people. That's why I prefaced it with, I've never heard you utter anything racist,
Sheryl,
but I have felt that Piers was racist in his stance against Meghan Markle. And the last time he was on this show, I said as much. I said it when he was on this show.
And what was his answer to you?
He didn't feel that it was racist. He didn't feel that the racial statements that he was making were racist. But I was talking to him.
Okay, answer me this one, okay? Because I don't know. I don't understand. If he doesn't like someone, and I think this is for everybody who is born white, if Piers doesn't like someone and they happen to be black, does that make him a racist?
No. No.
That's a no.
No.
Right. So why can't it be he just doesn't like her? Why does it have to be racist?
He brought up
It's almost like, oh, I'm sorry, Sheryl.
No, you go
It's
ahead.
almost like yesterday when you were talking, Mrs. O, it sounded like he was really upset about, what you were saying is a royalist. Like he is just so deep into
he is.
honoring the crown and honoring, and do I agree with what he said? No, like you.
No, I don't
agree. I think he should have walked off set? No. Do I think he should have sat there and listened to his other co-hosts like we're doing right now and having a conversation and learning from each other? I think that's what corrective evolution is about.
Corrective evolution. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. That's a part of our main topic. But I got one last clip for y'all to listen to before we end this Internet Never Loss, and that is Piers Morgan himself responding to all of this controversy.
Had a good chat with ITV and we agreed to disagree. I wish them all the very best. I had a great time at Good Morning Britain.
And what do you think?
Good Morning Britain has become the most watched, talked about show arguably on British television. I mean, the ratings on Monday were the biggest we've ever had. We also got the most Ofcom complaints for any show we've done because people didn't like my opinion. That's a hill I'm prepared to go on. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the right to be allowed to have an opinion. If people want to believe Meghan Markle, that's entirely their right. I don't believe almost anything that comes out of her mouth, and I think the damage she's done to the British monarchy and to the Queen at a time when Prince Philip is lying in hospital is enormous and frankly contemptible. So if I have to fall on my sword for expressing an honestly held opinion about Meghan Markle and that diatribe of bilge that she came out with in that interview, so be it. I think it's fair to say, although the woke crowd will have thought, they think that they've cancelled me, I think they'll be rather disappointed when I re-emerge.
So a re-emergement?
I would call it a temporary hibernation. But of course my opinions remain my opinions. They can't silence that.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot, audience. That's a lot for y'all. How would you feel if someone asked what the color of your baby was going to be? Would you stand by a friend even if they're wrong? Those are my two questions for you, audience. Send us a message. Our handles are in the description below. Let us know how you feel. This has been yours truly, T. Staples, in this week's edition of The Internet Never Lost. Man. Okay, my people. Look, Today's topic: are we becoming too PC in today's society? Now, I played that Internet Never Lost because it's kind of relevant in our time right now. You know, like Alana Boo, Freddie B. Y'all have heard of this Meghan Markle interview with Oprah, right?
Right.
Watched this.
Okay. Sean's there. Oh yeah. Sean said he watched it. Dr. Bud Lee, you heard this interview?
I heard the audio. I haven't watched it, but
this interview has sparked so much controversy. And what I just played for you guys is one of the many spinoffs of controversy. This is Piers Morgan, who walked off the set after having a dialogue between himself and Alex Beresford, who is a mixed race weatherman at that station, who he's actually kind of thrown jabs at in the past. You know, I didn't have time to put all those clips in. I found some clips of him throwing jabs at him racially in the past about doing the weather. Nobody cares about the weather. You're doing the weather. Did you used to sell drugs? Could you tell us about that? Like, that's very racy. That's like, oh snap! Like he said that on air. Like, you know, and he was brought in to a conversation with Piers. And there's an extended version of it if you guys want to go out there and look for it out there. There's an extended version. I played it for the cast here today, so everybody can hear that extended version of their interchange. But you know, what we have here is a very complicated situation, because we have a woman who has said that the color of her child was in question, not only for whether he was going to become a prince, but whether he was going to either get protection of the royal family. Then we have a white man who was in Britain saying, no, she's wrong. That's not what's happening. No, the way it works is they decide whether he's going to be a prince outside of that. And could they just have been asking what the color of the baby was going to be? I mean, isn't that like a normal question? Like, could that be a normal question? Now, I asked my esteemed panelist, my esteemed co-host today, is that a normal question for y'all? Like, hey, what's the color of your baby going to be? Like, a lot of boo. If you had a baby, somebody was like, "Oh man, what shade of brown do you think he's gonna be?" Or as Alex used, what shade of cocoa? I thought that was hilarious. What shade of cocoa?
I do not feel that that's a normal question.
No, I don't think it's a normal question. Okay, is it racist though? Let's answer this, because this is where the Sharon Osborne portion with Sheryl Underwood comes in. Is it racist what he said? When he starts to talk about, her being wrong, that's not why they were talking about it. Is anything he said racist? Does it sound racist?
You asking Alana?
Or whoever.
What I would say is, I mean, I don't know. I can't say if it's racist, but I actually seen the clip and I seen it on YouTube, and then I looked at. I'm like a big YouTube comment reader guy, and so what I found, like reading the comments, and then that caused me to like pull up more on it. Apparently, Piers has met Meghan, and he met and tried to holler at Meghan the day she met Harry, and then she ended up hollering at Harry, and then now they married. But apparently, he tried to holler at her before she even met Harry, and she curved him essentially. And so a lot of people saying he's still salty about that, and that's why he just over the years he just keep coming at her.
So you think this is going deeper than just racism? This is like a man scorn.
Yeah, he's just being a whole body.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just that. I mean, when we listened to it before, and I started to say something when we were off the show, and you were like, "Hold it for the show." You got to consider the source with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan is what they call television presenter over there in England. We call him hosts, but he's a television presenter, and he's been in the news for years. And he is, I think what he said was racist. I believe that what he said was racist because he said little racist things before about other things. So it's not just this incident. Like back in 2020, he was accused of making comments about there's a Chinese dairy that has commercials on their show. Mm-hmm. And he talked about them using Ching Chong Ching milk. I mean,
that's racist.
when you talk about Asian and you talk about Ching Chong Ching, I mean, that's that's pretty Asian and mocking the Asian language. So he has said stuff before that has been racist. Now, what he did and his denials about what I said wasn't racist is because he in the past has described himself as a Tory, and I'm not going to get into British politics at all because I don't know a ton about it, but basically somebody that's a Tory is somebody that has all of these British traditional and conservative values, and they really are defensive about the crown. So he's somebody that is a royalist that defends the crown, but he also, I believe, has said racist things, and I believe he is racist. And I think in this instance, he is using the cover of being a royalist to say whatever it is he wants to say about Meghan. So he's using some of the same tactics that our politicians use in this country when they try to hide behind the flag and red, white, and blue and all this stuff to say stuff about immigrants and to say stuff about these other people. So, he's doing the same thing.
But let me speak to that, though, Sean, because it seems to me that if you are a royalist, is that... when I hear the word royalist, I hear racist. I hear white power.
Well, I mean, because it's because we're looking. It's because it's because we're talking. It's because we're talking. Well, yeah, because we're talking about the British throne. We look at the British royal family, and we see nothing but white faces. We have seen nothing but white faces for the entire history of the British throne. So now they have a woman that is not only half black, because it'd be one thing if she was half black British. She's half black American. So now you've got an American that is in the royal family. They look down on, I don't care what people say, they look down on Americans as it is. And I'm not talking about British people as a whole. I'm talking about the royal family. They look down on Americans as it is. And now they look down on Americans. They're not around blacks. They don't understand blacks. Now you've got a half black American coming into the royal family. So they're going to ask that question. And what I've seen over the years with the royal family is they are ignorant about a lot of stuff. That not racist, just ignorant. And so whoever did ask that question, and I do believe it was Charles that asked that question about the Coco baby, I believe that came from a place of ignorance, and he probably wasn't being racist. He was probably just thinking, we can't. Well, it probably was. Let me back up. That was racist because he was thinking, we don't want, we don't want anything to disrupt the purity of our royal line. So, yeah. It was said out of ignorance, but in its ignorance, it was racist.
And I think him walking off the show, right? When the guy was trying to kind of basically say to him, "No, listen, we have to address it for what they said."
That's him being a bully. He didn't want to. Right. He didn't want to face the truth. We've seen that before.
He didn't want to listen to this guy talk. Now, moving on to Sharon Osborne and Sheryl Underwood. Now you got the complication of Sharon coming on the fire because she seems to be defending this guy, and she's saying this is her friend. Like, would you? Like, Buddy Lee, would you go down, go to the depths of hell for a friend that's wrong? Or would you say, hey, you wrong, friend?
I'd have to call him out. I would have to call him out on that. I couldn't, I mean, even like before when I asked the question, what is the definition of something? It's like, if you can't be, you can be a friend to a person, but you need to make them be aware of what they're saying and how they're saying
it,
and how it can come off to others.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, it's interesting that even when Sheryl was asking the question, Sheryl Underwood was asking the question to Sharon said, "And don't you cry? Don't you how you gonna dehumanize this woman? If she gets emotional because she feels like she's about to lose her friend because her friend wants to protect her other friend, her overseas friend." And if she's getting emotional, she's human. And we talking about race.
Because people think we're playing a game. People think this is a game, and that people are trying to gain sympathy, and people are trying to get people on their side.
Or play the victim.
Play the victim. And what they don't understand is, I mean, this is years, and for current people today, this is years and years and decades of things that have happened to them and emotions that they have been suppressing that are now coming to the surface. And then for African American people, this is 400 plus years of systemic, racism that is coming to the fore, and we want to talk about it. And people that aren't African American, there are a lot of people that still are uncomfortable about it and don't want to talk about it. And like Alex Beresford said in that piece that we listened to, we have to become comfortable talking about the uncomfortable, because that's the only way we are going to be able to move forward. We can't sweep this stuff under the rug anymore. We have got to face this head on if we're going to make any progress.
But wait a minute. Now, that may be true, Sean. That may be true. But Freddie B, tell me about this. The last clip I played, Piers Morgan sticking by his guns. His ego, right? Did he say I'll die on the sword? He said, I would, if that's my...
Yeah, he said, I'll fall on the sword, and this the hill I need to live. Like, the saying is on me, I'll die on this hill, but he didn't quite say I'll die on this hill. But yeah, he's holding up. He's standing strong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what do you think about the arrogance of it? Like, even him telling the woke people, I'll be back. Like,
I mean, I think he's staying honest to his brand. I think, Piers creating a brand behind how he talks, how he expresses himself, how he approaches different things. So he's staying true to his particular brand. Because at the end of the day, because remember he filled in for Larry King Live, and then Piers Morgan came in, but then people just didn't really like him, and that's kind of.
And then he got his own show. Yeah, he got his own show behind that.
Yeah, so he kind of had the whole I like to say the Rihanna thing. He was good guy gone bad, because before that he wasn't this type of Piers. But then that happened, and then the ratings weren't good. Then he left there. Then he just he hopped on Twitter, and he's always been poking the bear per se on Twitter. So this is him. This is who he is, and he's old. Like when people get old, they're not changing. They are who they are. Like the only time they're gonna change is if something life shattering happens, and then it's like, oh, okay, they had to change because something life shattering happened. Other than that, Piers is who he is,
and maybe that's why Sharon Osborne is holding her position, because she's just like, well, I am who I am, and I like who I like.
Well,
for the crown, we must die.
Well, something earth shattering happened to Rush Limbaugh, and he didn't change his opinions or anything. So some people are just rooted in what they're rooted in. And they are literally going to die on that hill.
Rush is making too much money. He making way too much money being a conservative person.
And for some people, at the end of the day, Piers Morgan, he's doing quite well for himself. So I'm sure that he has figured out that there is an audience for my particular brand of conservatism in this country, and I am going to continue to roll with that because it's it drives ratings. Mm-hmm. But people have to get to a point. There are some people that don't care about ratings; they just care about people, and we need to we really need to pivot as a society, as a world, and start caring about people, and that's just the bottom line.
That's true. Well, let me pivot myself, because we want to get into our topic about PC culture. Are we becoming too PC in today's society? And one of the things that even from the Innanet Never Loss I picked up on when we were listening to the Sharon Osborne and Sheryl Underwood on the talk dialogue, the last person that spoke, I forget the lady's name, she used the phrase, she said, we need to have more of this corrective evolution. And I thought to myself, what in the world is that? Like, I ain't never heard that.
I never heard that term before.
You mean we need to have more of these uncomfortable conversations, like the gentleman said overseas, right? That's really what maybe that's what she meant to say. I don't know. But like PC culture has convoluted so much these days because it started with good intentions. And for our fans out there, I hope you know what PC means. But if you don't know, we're abbreviating political correctness. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Political correctness. So something that started out with good intentions to, but it may not have been something that we need to utilize in every conversation, because it starts to water down truth a little bit, right? It starts to skate around the truth. You can't say somebody's ugly, right? They don't look too good, or they don't have favorable characteristics. You can't say somebody is stupid. You say they have a learning disability, right? So when you start talking about what PC culture is, and when we say, are we coming to PC today? Are we really saying that we are becoming so sensitive that we are now masking the truth? Is that what we're saying, everybody? Anybody can hop in on this.
Yes.
What are we saying? We say
are.
PC.
I believe we should all be able to have our own opinions, because people say that they don't judge. Everybody judges. Period.
No, I don't judge. I'm just judgmental.
No. Well, but we all judge. We all judge stuff.
You see what I'm saying? But I'm just saying. It's not a PC culture.
Everybody doesn't judge.
Well, it's
Everybody
an internal thing, because you may feel a certain way about.
Though.
Everybody does. We can disagree on that.
So let me say this. So a judge, what is a judge? Think about when you go to court.
Okay. All right. Well, let me rephrase it then. Right, Thomas, you're right. Okay. Judgmental. We have judgmental thoughts about things, and Freddie too. My bad. But I will say, like, what was going on with that whole conversation with Piers, and I can't say that guy's name, but what was going on with that was Piers wanted to get his opinion out. But then he didn't want to listen to the guest that they brought on to discuss how he feels about it. And Piers just cut him off. And that's what happens with a lot of things, where somebody feels that because they have the biggest voice, or they have the strongest personality, or whatever it is, they feel that their opinion is the only opinion because they have a following with them.
Those are close-minded people.
Right. You're right. That's the number one problem with it. I mean, just because you like red candy and I like blue candy, we can still get along. We just have difference of opinions. But I shouldn't get mad at you because you like red candy because I like blue candy.
But can I say I don't like red candy? And let me ask this in the form of a question then. Are we more passive aggressive due to PC culture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Why sometimes?
Because some people will speak their mind and stand their grounds, kind of like how Pierce was about, hey, I'm gonna hop off of here. I said what I had to say, and I'm leaving.
And it's an interesting dichotomy there, right? Because he was literally like not backing down off his opinion. And like I said, for all the people out there who listened to that clip prior to, we're not talking about PC culture, but if you want to go back and listen to that clip, you can go find that clip on I think IBC's website, and that morning show actually posted it, the full 14-minute dialogue between them two. Piers ain't backing down, and there's people like that in our life, like Donald Trump. He wasn't backing down. I don't think it was nothing PC about Donald Trump. He was just saying what came to his mind for whatever reason. What was the Kung flu, shithole countries. Like, he was literally like not masking anything,
because he was tapping into the feelings of a group of people that felt disenfranchised. They felt like they weren't represented, and here he comes along. He recognized that, and he doubled down on it, and that's why he was saying all those things. I don't want to turn this into a Republican and Democrat, but since we're talking about Donald Trump,
let's talk about Donald Trump.
So the people that followed. So let's just say the people that followed Donald Trump and the people that believed in Donald Trump, if they stood up and said, hold on a second. Some of the stuff that you're saying, you going a little bit too far. No, he was being emboldened by them. They were digging their heels in and saying, he was saying the stuff that they wanted to say and couldn't. And now that they had a president that represented them, they felt emboldened to take some of those actions that they wouldn't have otherwise. It's not like these people all of a sudden popped up over the last he came out 2015 to start running for president. So in the last 6 years, they've been here the whole time. They just found somebody that said, hey, it's time for y'all to let y'all freak flag fly. And they came out in full force.
And it's almost like PC culture has suppressed a group of people in a sense, and he gave them the outlet to stand behind, to, cover them with.
That's what happens when you have a group of people that feel a certain way, but they really don't, express it, or they don't know how to express it. When someone comes along and taps into that and says, hey, I understand what you're going through. Hey, let's go do something about it. And that's how he captured a lot of people. A lot of people were fed up with the way that they saw, government, and they saw society working. Here comes somebody along like, hey, an outsider that says, hey, I got a different way to do this. They flock to him.
It's interesting because I got a quote from George Carlin. If you guys know, he's a comedian who is known for having a whole set about political correctness.
He was the best.
Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm. But his quote that I'm going to read is, political correctness cripples discourse, creates ugly language, and is generally stupid. Now, he used cripples, ugly, and stupid because these are words that are said today that we should not be saying. We shouldn't say, don't say stupid. Don't say ugly. Don't say crippled. And so he has a whole set about, if you guys want to go look at him, George Carlin, he's also said the word nigga before on stage, like in a very interesting way. And I'm surprised that he didn't get canceled for that, but I guess because it happened so long ago, cancel culture didn't exist back then. But what do y'all think about that? Political correctness cripples discourse, creates ugly language, and is generally stupid. What do y'all think about that statement?
I mean, I agree with the first and last statement. The middle statement creates ugly language. I don't get that. I don't know. I mean, I can't say I just disagree with it, but that doesn't land for me.
Well, I mean, corrective evolution.
Oh, yeah. I guess we're going with your corrective evolution.
I mean, I'm just saying,
there's a backlash. There's a backlash to it because if you are, everybody is politically correct and everybody is, all nice and whatnot and saying the correct things in front of people, and then you get amongst, your people and you say, whatever it is that you say. I heard a comedian one time, and it was a white comedian, mm-hmm. and he was talking about how, people, if somebody is driving and somebody of a different race is driving and they cut you off, you're not just going to say, oh, let's go on. You going to say, oh, you stupid, so-and-so, whatever they are.
Say, you stupid SOB.
Fill in the blank.
You're stupid SOB and you're stupid, N-word. Whatever you are, they going to call you out, your name. And it's just a reality that we've all done. I mean, every single one of us has talked, all of us are African American on this podcast. We have all, in our regular private lives, we have talked about white people. We have talked about Asian people. We have talked about, we've talked about all of them.
I haven't. I gotta say I haven't.
You never talked about white people?
Good for you.
Or Asian people?
You've never talked about white people. Good for you.
Or Asian people?
No, I've never said like a slur or any type of directed at any group of people.
Well, not necessarily a slur.
Not necessarily a slur, but
he said talk about people on like a stereotype.
Yeah, right. Talk about
you
a stereotype or something.
Or you rice eating so and so. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily like calling them, like a specific slur like the N-word. But
we've all leaned into the stereotypes. We have all pointed out the stereotype about a particular group. I mean, you see it. You see it on television, you hear it in comedy shows, we laugh at it, we see it out in public, and our mind immediately goes to that. Even if we don't utter it out of our face, it does come to our mind.
So here's the thing, like me, I've done stand-up comedy and been in comedy, so and I've seen a lot of comedians, and like when it comes to stereotypes, like have I laughed at some like other comedians said, like yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm a very objective person. So, you know, when it comes to like me actually like saying a stereotype about other people, like I've actually like I can honestly say I've never done it. Like, you know, like they say Asian people can't drive. Is that what it is? Or Asian women can't drive? Or women can't drive?
Asian women in particular, but yeah, it's been said about Asian people.
Okay. Like, you know, like even that, like I don't get that. And I mean, just like stereotypes overall, like I don't understand and I don't get. Now what I do get is because like I really look at race as just a different, because race is indicative of different physical attributes that classify you in a particular race, and that doesn't transfer into the things that you do. Now the different stereotypes I may lean into are then cultural and financial. Now, like somebody's poor or rich or middle class or you know they subscribe to a particular culture, then from that, then stereotypes may come like, okay, I may lean into that, but it's never been about race. Because I've been around too many like black and white people who flip flop with different stereotypes, and Asian people who do white stereotypes and black stereotypes, and it's just like I've been around so many people. But I think that's the main thing with all of it. Even going back to our Internet Never Lost is homogenous environments. When people just are in environments that are totally homogenous, like the royal family, they've been around nothing but white people. So when it comes to some black stuff, they gonna say some ignorant, wild, goofy stuff. And exactly. Then it just comes down to it's gonna come down to like, are you gonna listen? You gonna listen to when somebody like, hey, check you, like, yo, bruh, that ain't the move. Because I have white friends that are racist. Like I think of one right now. He is legit racist, but we friends and we cool. But he racist, and because we've had conversations where he done said some wild stuff, and I had to check him immediately
was he
and break him down.
Was he saying some wild stuff in the sense like, was he giving you the sense of like saying cripple, ugly, stupid, or was he saying it, like, was he trying to cover it up with some nice, you know, colorful language like differently abled and lookism and minimally exceptional?
No, I mean, the conversations we've had that you know they've been he's went there. Yeah. He said some stuff, and it's just like he'll say some just straight out like if anybody else heard this, they'd be like, what did he just say? Fred, this your friend? Like, fam. But like people probably look at me sideways.
But let's back up, Freddie B. Why would they say, what did he just say? Like, is it because he's saying something that is on his heart that is true to what he believes, but he's not covering it up? He's saying it specifically? Or because we talking about PC culture.
Right. I mean, I guess that was kind of in reference to the homogenous environment thing, going back to the royal family. Like in his situation, he's been in a largely homogenous environment, and you know what I mean? And so, like, he has different beliefs, and had he just actually been around black people, that's mainly the problem. But then going to PC culture, now it's a situation of the cancel culture is run wild, and so people don't want to mess their money up, and so then they have these beliefs, but they just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna be cool, African American.
So now let's go back to your friend, because I think it's important to say, because of what he said, other people were able to like, okay, wait a minute, hold up. We don't agree.
He said it just to me. He said it only.
But
like,
I'm saying you and the other person in the situation. You have the power to now say to him, hold up, wait a minute, I disagree. Or I agree. You know what I'm saying? But like if he covered that up with some like, he could have skated around that. And PC culture, that's what they do. Like they skate around like an opinion as strong as what his was. I'm not saying his opinion is right, and don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to justify his opinion. But when we talk about PC culture, this is the things that often happens is we get into these conversations where, you know, where shell shock turns into post-traumatic stress disorder. And now you don't get help that you need, because shell shock sounds like, oh, he needs some help. He can shell shock, you know. But it's like you gotta think like that. Like, and I think that's the danger we run into when we don't say to them, okay, I'm glad you said, thank you for saying that, I appreciate that, but look, I don't agree with you. You know what I mean? Versus, you just wrong. You know what I mean?
Well, because our society has become so polarized, we are unable to sit down and have a conversation, because everybody on both sides of whatever argument it is, whatever the topic is, everybody is so entrenched in their opinion of whatever it is that they believe in, they are unwilling to open themselves up, to open their mind, to have a conversation, to even find out what the other person is truly, what their views truly are. We assume we know exactly what that person is talking about, what they're thinking. We don't know what influenced their beliefs. It could be that something that influenced their belief is the reason why they feel the way that they do. If we don't even try to open ourselves up to have a conversation, to even find out what is making the other person tick, we can't possibly talk about the issues. They're not people. So and it's on both sides of whatever. It's like, if it's a black person, that person is racist. That person is a cracker. Blah blah. No, I said this when Trump became president, and when people, I wasn't understanding how people were following Trump. I wasn't understanding how people that I went to high school with, and I went to an integrated high school magnet program, black, white, Asian, the whole nine, and I was seeing people that I went to high school with. I was seeing them, in the cult of Trump and following Trump, and I couldn't understand it. And I just wanted to have a conversation with somebody. I just wanted to find out what the appeal was, why this. I wanted to understand. And I think if we take the time and have the attitude like we want to understand the other side, we want to understand what's going on, and not just point the finger and say, you're wrong, you need to change. Because we've seen it. When you confront somebody and say, you're wrong, you need to change, you need to do da-da-da, that's when people come defensive. Mm-hmm. That's when people crawl inside their shell, and we never get anywhere.
But Sean, I got to back you up again, because that's not what's happening. See, because we're not saying
that is what's happening.
Wait.
That is exactly what's happening.
Let me make my argument. You made your argument. Let me make my argument. That's not what's happening. What is happening is people are using PC culture to say you're wrong. You're not wrong because of how you felt. You're wrong because of what you said. You get what I'm saying? They're not addressing the idea. They're addressing the words you used. You can't say that. Don't say it that way. No. And so then what happens is the ideas get lost because, well, wait a minute. Maybe what you said was harsh to some, right? It's kind of like what's going on with what happened with Kevin Samuels, right? He has these very strong ideas, but how he says it, I can't take it that way. So now the ideas get lost. And so like when you say they go back and ball up in their shell, it's not because they were right or wrong. Nobody even wanted to address their idea. Nobody wanted to have a conversation with them. PC culture shut them up.
Well, I mean, I think PC culture goes more not necessarily to what Kevin Samuels, but it's like when you get to race, when you get to like sexual assault,
it goes across the board, Freddie B. PC
I'm saying
culture,
like certain things.
PC culture has removed, right, the challenge of ideas in order to make people comfortable. Can we agree to that?
I agree that it's across the board.
That's across the board. That's not just racism. That's everything. Which is why I push back all the way. I didn't want to push back heavily on Sean's idea.
Okay.
But I'm saying,
is there a difference between PC culture and cancel culture?
I think so.
They're intertwined, I believe.
I think they're connected, but I think there's a difference.
Okay.
I think there's a difference, but
there's a difference, but they're intertwined. It's like one has kind of wrapped itself around the other, and people are thinking that they're the same, but there are differences.
And
so different than I'm talking about cancel culture then.
Okay, cancel culture is a little different.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's a little different.
But I do want to ask this question again, and maybe just to spark some things in y'all head. Does PC culture does political correctness remove the challenge of ideas in order to make people feel comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, being politically correct, it doesn't fix the problem.
Right.
It's almost like it just puts a Band-Aid on it. For example, if we refer to, like, people don't want to be called, like, they don't want you to call people that live on the street homeless anymore. But if I start referring to them as temporarily displaced,
right,
now
the problem gets worse.
That does not create a job for them, and it does not wipe out poverty. So you're just making it cute. You're you're putting lipstick on a pig, basically.
Now look, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm asking my wife a question because I honestly haven't heard this. Are people really starting to call homeless people temporarily displaced? I haven't heard that yet. Are they honestly doing that?
I haven't heard it either. I've seen it in an article before.
What is? I mean, honest. I'm asking an honest question. I'm throwing this out to everybody. What is offensive about homeless? You don't have a home. It's simply a description. It's not. I mean, and that's where. That's where my mind is. It's a description.
We can go down a whole list of words.
Let me give you another example then, Sean. So let me just see how this feels. What is offensive about crippled?
Exactly.
Because we call that physically challenged. That PC is physically challenged.
What is offensive?
You can't say retarded no more. Now you got to say what? Mentally challenged.
Yep.
No.
And it's not even
learn disabled,
crippled, handicapped, handicapable. Because I remember, I specifically,
those with special needs,
and I'm old, and I'm older.
Yeah.
So I'm older. So this is my frame of reference for those of you who have ever heard of the show Different Strokes with Arnold and Willis.
Yeah.
What you talking about, Willis? There was an episode where there was a disabled. What's the PC term now? What's the term?
I think you still say disabled.
Disabled.
Yeah.
There was a disabled young lady that was on the show, special needs, disabled. She was in a wheelchair, and that whole episode was about her and her special needs because they had never dealt with someone that had special needs, and she several times on the show was called handicapped, and she said, "No, I'm not handicapped. I'm handicapable." And it was like, okay, you're handicapable. They were trying to say, hey, handicapped people can do things that other people can do. I'm just like, okay, we keep watering down these words that are descriptions, and I get it. People are sensitive to the term, and so we have to clean it up a little bit. And I had this discussion with Alana yesterday, and my whole thing was I am sensitive. I am sensitive to people's feelings and to things that hurt them. Where's the line? That's my only question: is where is the line?
There is no line.
And that's and that's the thing that I am learning, that I am coming to terms with. But it's like we keep doing this. I mean, it's a description, and we need to, y'all know, we on the Super Bowl podcast, we talked about this. I'm a fan of the Washington football team, and there's been the controversy for years about their former name, the Redskins. And I got that from day one. I'm like, look, because I'm like, you know what? If that's offensive to you, you don't want to, Redskins, because that was an offensive term to Native Americans. Okay, cool. Go ahead and change the name. So I get that, but it's just like, where is the line?
In that case,
it's gray.
But in that
it's gray, and it just keeps.
That's not gray though. Let me. I got to separate that out.
Not the Redskins.
Not the Redskins. No, not the Redskins, but just overall.
Because our audience may not understand that. That's not a gray area, because that's like naming a team.
Oh, and I've made that point for years. No, I understand.
No.
We understand that completely.
Are gray area.
No, we're not saying that's a gray area either. But that's just an example of.
But listen to what I'm saying though. To separate that out, when you bring that up as an example, right? We have to let people recognize that's different from going from stupid to learning disabled, right? That's different. They called them something specific. They called them stupid. Right, and they attached them to a football team a racial slur to a people. They named the football team a racial slur to a group of people. You know what I mean? So that is different than PC. PC goes the other way. PC says, it's not the Redskins no more. Now PC says something different. And I think Redskins in the racial side of it, we got to take that part out. You know what I mean? And we have to, as they say, amend that piece, because that's wrong. You know what I mean? What political correctness does is it takes something that we feel like it's offensive when it's truly not. It's a description, like you said. Homeless was a good use of it. Homeless.
Well, here's okay. So here the reason why I brought that up, and yes, it was a racial slur. The team was given that name back in 1937, and over the years. In the context of football, and again, I'm not defending the name. I'm just telling you that in the years, in the context of football, the name. I don't want to say this. Generations of Redskins fans, when they say the name Redskins, their mind doesn't immediately think in racial terms. They're simply talking about the football team that's on the field.
Exactly. But
they're talking about the football team that's on the field.
But what does the term mean, though?
But here's the thing, and we know that as sports fans, we don't think about that until it is brought up. We don't think about that. For years, I never gave that a second thought. I was like, oh, Redskins, cool. And I would look at their helmet. Oh, cool. They got the Indian logo on the side of the helmet. Oh, that was cool. Once it was brought up to me that, hey, there are people out there that don't like that, then I started thinking about that. But you, as a fan, you're thinking about the team.
So
you're
not
thinking about that.
Now you see what happens when black people push back against white people, what white people are thinking. I didn't think that. We just called the team that.
So that's why we need to have conversations, and people aren't willing to have conversations.
But that conversation also, and I want to say this too, if that team had been founded by somebody who was Native American or calls themselves that would be a different conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Well, apparently the team was originally named supposedly for the first head coach, who was a Native American. That's the story. Now, whether or not he was or not,
right?
Whether or not he really was, there's a debate as to whether or not Lone Star Dietz really was, a Native American. But that's the story that was given.
But now what you see here is that privilege, right? That's that piece of privilege where people are saying, but we don't like that. Even though you associate to this, we don't like that. We don't want to be called Negro and nigga. We don't like that. Even though that's been the thing you come up and grew up with, right? So I think that's the thing you have to be careful. But when you talk about political correctness, that's why I had to separate that, because that's a conversation about racial stereotyping and how we feel about that particular race.
So you bring up a good point. What I was gonna say is I think a lot of this stuff, like, because you got Atlanta Braves, you got Cleveland Indians,
exactly.
You got Kansas City Chiefs, and you got all these other like types of teams that have these racial twinge to them. But I think PC kind of runs amok when you have these SJW, social justice warriors. They kind of like step up into the spot, like, hold on, wait, that's offensive. And like, so if for example, to use the one y'all been talking about, the Washington Redskins, you'll have people like who just white people and just be like, or they just black, or something like that, and they'll just like, this is offensive. And it's like, hey, wait, you're not Native American. Like, who is this? And I think it'll ease stuff up. Like, who are we offending? Okay, now we're offending this tribe or just all Native Americans. Let's go to the Native Americans and let's hear them out. And then that's when you listen, goes to the listening part. Like, let's hear what they got to say about this. And they can say, hey, yeah, this has been bogus and we've been saying this for years. Okay, cool. Let's change the name. Or we don't care. Cool. The name stay the same.
Mm-hmm. And speaking on correctness, something that I noticed in a store yesterday, not yesterday, but last week, it was a guy in there. He's an older gentleman. He had been in a couple of wars, and, he's a veteran. But he was saying, I live in America, and if you're in my country, you should speak English. And I'm like, yeah, the people you're speaking against actually are native to this area. You are an immigrant to this area where you're trying to call these other individuals immigrants. And it was like, so how do you justify what's correct on that? You know, he's speaking all patriotism and all this other stuff, but that's something new here. I mean, yes, it's been here for a while.
And the thing that he doesn't understand, and people that say that, this country was founded as a melting pot. This country was founded, people came over here at first to escape various things. The first pilgrims, they came over here for religious freedom. And people, America over the years has been a melting pot. You know, what was the old saying? Bring me your tired, your poor, your indigent, to come over here to make a better life for themselves. The other thing is people talking about, they need to speak English. The United States of America doesn't have an official language.
That is true.
They do not. We do. English is not our official language. We don't have an official language. So yes, a majority of us. No, we do not.
No, we do not.
The United States of America does not have an official language.
English is the most
English is the most spoken.
Yeah, but
absolutely. It is not official, and they have tried several times over the life of our country to make English the official language, and it's never been adopted as the official language. So, this country is for everybody. So if you have immigrants that come over here, and don't get me wrong, over the years, and I'm just being honest, I have said that I've gotten frustrated in various situations, and I'm like, they need to, learn the language. But I know better. If you have immigrants that come over here and they are speaking their native tongue in their own household, that's for them to do. If they want to do that, hey, they have the right to do that. Just like we have freedom of speech, and we have freedom, the right to bear arms. We have all of these rights. That's what makes this country what it is. And people that are talking about they need to get out of our country, guess what? You need to get out of this country, because this country's not yours either. The Native Americans are the ones that were here, and we robbed them of their land. So
wait, don't say we.
Nigga, we.
Right.
I did.
You didn't rob them of nothing, Sean.
Correct.
I didn't rob them of nothing.
Forgive me. I got a little overwrought.
Don't get too PC on us now.
This country was taken from the Native Americans by the Anglo-Saxons, by the English that came over here.
Caucasoids.
The people that came over here that took the land. So when they say that, when white Americans say that, and they talk about y'all need to go back to wherever y'all came from, you go back to where you came from, which was England and Ireland and Scotland, where you came from back in the 1600s.
The Caucasoid Mountains, right.
So we need to learn our history, and we need to apply it properly, and we need to open our minds and have conversations. If we do those things, we will be making progress. That's not going to solve everything, but it will make progress towards something that is better. And we all, the American ideal is to make a better life for ourselves.
Okay, I'm glad you got your feelings out. Now let's get back on PC culture.
Too many feelings.
I didn't stop him. I let him get it out. I was going to ask, since you brought it up, the First Amendment rights, does PC culture infringe upon our First Amendment rights?
Well, a lot of people who are opposed to PC culture regard it as a form of censorship that basically quashes freedom of speech.
Okay.
So, and I mean, I can definitely see it that way. But on the other side, I don't know if you want to say on the other side, but basically, while some people may swallow, when it comes to PC culture, some people may swallow their politically incorrect words. Mm-hmm. They don't abandon the feeling that motivated it. Mm-hmm. So it goes back to what Sean was saying in terms of needing to come to the table with an open mind to have the conversation so that some kind of healing can begin and some kind of progress can be made. Because just because you put a politically correct stamp on it and you say it real nice and you finesse it and
right.
It feels better to me.
Make it feel better.
You make me feel better.
Not nigga, but Negro.
Negro. You know, just because you do that, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't get to the roots of the problem, which is what motivated you to feel that politically incorrect way in the first place.
Got you. I'm gonna read another quote here. This is a quote from Jonathan Kay. He's a big speaker, and he has a little bit to say on political correctness. Political correctness works for no one. Political correctness is a bipartisan phenomenon. That's from Jonathan Kay.
Well, that goes back to what I always say to people. People always talk about, oh, that person's weird, that person's crazy. There's no such thing as normal, weird, or crazy. It's all in your perspective. It's all in how you see it. So it's the same thing with all these different viewpoints, opinions. I mean, Thomas, like we were talking, like I was telling you before, okay, so now you decide you don't want the red candy anymore. You like actually blue. Well, okay, I should still be able to have a conversation with you about it, and it doesn't turn into sounding like it's a hate crime in a sense. It should be, we just have a constructive dialogue. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then learn each other's values and opinions. Because when you, like, I know a lot of people used to have a problem with people from the Middle East. But if you actually sit down and have a conversation with somebody from the area, you'll learn that you and that person have a lot of things in common. Mm-hmm. It's just the stereotypes is what's keeping people from having those conversations, or what they've been fed, whether it be the media, what they've overheard from other people, or maybe even some things they've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask whoever, to define political correctness. Who's got it? Doesn't have to be perfect, just whatever you think it is.
Sean.
Okay, let's go.
Well, because I got Wikipedia up. You know how I do. Political correctness is a term used to describe language, policies, or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to members of particular groups in society.
Is that not what we call a euphemism?
A euphemism?
Yeah.
And if that is a euphemism, what do you want to say that it is?
Well, because I want to know the difference between words that speak the truth and euphemisms. And I want to know what we.
Well, a euphemism is used, as a placeholder and as a politically correct answer.
So right, so I'll read
to what the truth is.
So I'm gonna read you the definition of euphemism, and then I want you guys to think about what he just said. Political correctness: a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing.
Yeah, because the N-word is a euphemism.
It's a euphemism. But
a euphemism.
But when we use these euphemisms, these politically correct ways of speaking and thinking and policy making, and we don't look at what the truth of a thing is, what are we essentially doing? I mean, it seems to be
watering down the truth.
Exactly.
Sugarcoating the answer.
Sugarcoating the truth.
Yep.
And it seems political correctness in today's terms, in today's time, is being used to soften or to give us soft language to protect people from the truth. If we're protecting people from the truth, we're also protecting them from what? The truth. And that's scary. That's scary to me, because it's almost like saying, okay, Johnny just fell and busted his head wide open. Let's not pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying?
We shouldn't have to be protected from the truth. And that's just, we should embrace the truth.
There we go. But we don't because of our society. The question is, are we becoming too PC? And the more we get away from this, right? It's like we can't say Black Lives Matter because it sounds too direct.
Because a lot of people are living the phrase, if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question. And a lot of people aren't asking the question. And the way to not directly answer the question is to use euphemisms and to be politically correct. ask the question. The answer needs to get out there.
But then that gets into othering, right? That gets into a area of where we start to attribute these characteristics to people, and because they're not PC, and so we're going to say, well, because you're not PC, then we're going to put negative characteristics on you. And when we do that, to me, that taints. But if he's saying something that's true, you're othering this person because you want to now position him in a place where, because he spoke out the truth, but he does not look like us, right? He does not look like us, which the root word of othering, other. He doesn't look like us. He looks like something other than us. We now have to give him negative connotation. And I think that is damaging. And so if we're living in a society that's becoming more and more politically correct, what must we do to fight against it? Now, there's some suggestions by a lot of the people who are against political correctness, or what we should do. But I want to get some of you guys. What do we need to start doing to like shift this? Like, okay, let me say this first. Have we recognized that we are living in a society that's becoming more and more politically correct every day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now, knowing the understanding we now have about political correctness, right? This masking of the truth, this cover up, right? You know, this ability to soften the language so it's not as harsh, right? I gave some examples earlier. You know, it's like, it's not stupid. It's those with special needs. You know, mentally disadvantaged. There's even words now coming. I mean, I got a word. Freddie B. He's our resident wordsmith. Am I right, Freddie B? You resident?
He's a professional linguist.
You professionally? Okay. Have you heard of lookism, Freddie B?
Lookism?
Lookism. Have you heard of this one? Nope. I can't tell you how you look no more because I'm a lookist now.
I'm a lookist.
If I tell you, if you're ugly, I can't even say you're somebody with a severe appearance deficit. I can't say that no more.
Or as Southerners will say, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Facially inadequate.
You know.
Oh yeah, because you got the shaming. You know, you got all the different types of shaming. So
you got body shaming and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fat shaming, skinny shaming, faith. What's all the other shaming? That's some other
height.
Shamings. Like
all
height.
kinds
You can't
of
talk about height.
Yeah, height shaming.
Oh, you're physically challenged. You're not. No. Physically challenged. Challenged physically.
Vertically challenged.
Vertically challenged. There we go. Vertically challenged. Yeah. So it's this cover up, right, for what we really want to say.
But why is it necessary for us to verbalize to somebody that you think they're ugly or you think they're short? I mean,
well, listen, there's free speech and then there's opinion. And then there's a fine line between the two, because your free speech could be just your opinion, which is what made it controversial when they took Donald Trump's Facebook and Twitter account down. Because at some point, it's like, at what point do we draw the line? Now, I'm going to tell you at what point the government draws the line. 2 seconds. I'm going to pull this link up.
I was going to say, while you pulling it up, that's the one thing that is a prime example. When you were talking about Donald Trump, he could say whatever he wanted to on Twitter or just any social media. He could say whatever he wanted and people ran with it. But if anybody said anything negative about him, he tried to flex and use his power or his influence to discredit you. And it was like,
So freedom of speech includes to engage in symbolic speech, to advertise commercial products and professional services, to contribute money to political campaigns, to use certain offensive words and phrases to convey political messages, for students to wear black armbands in schools or protest wars, and most importantly, it includes not to speak. What it does not include the right to do, to incite actions that would harm others, which is why they say they tried to accuse Donald Trump of inciting a riot, to make or distribute obscene materials, to burn draft cards as an anti-war protest, to permit students to print articles in a school newspaper of objections of the school administration, which is crazy because this actually was argued in a court case in 1988, which is not that long ago. And for students to make obscene speech at a school-sponsored event. These are actually illegal things. You can't make obscene speech at a sponsored event, but you can make it out in public. It's to advocate for illegal drug use. That's another one. These are not considered free speech. So this is what this is uscourts.gov. You can go look this up. What does free speech mean? And each one of these are backed up by a court case. But most of the court cases are like 70s, 60s. There's only a few of them that are 80s. And it's interesting because what was the one? I read one, it was the 80s. And I said that wasn't that long ago. Permit articles in school newspapers over rejection of school administration. Right. That's interesting. Like, why can't you do that? That's weird, but okay.
But the crazy thing is the media can say whatever they want to about you and as long as they use the word allegedly.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And discredit you. But if you turn around and do the same back toward that same company, they'll hit you for slander.
Well, here's the thing. As long as it does not, it's not inciting any type of harm to the person. So slander is a type of harm, right?
Well, I mean, what are you doing to a person when you're accusing them of murder allegedly?
Well, here's the thing, though, and this is where free speech kind of gets blended and mixed, and it has to be argued all the time in court, whether somebody was speaking, expressing their right to speak freely, or were they being obscene and insightful, right? It has to be defined underneath one of those arms. And I think it's interesting because political correctness, what it comes in and what it tries to do is it tries to say, okay, everybody, now, don't be mean to one another, be nice. That's what it tries to do. And it tries to make those lines, which are kind of defined, even more blurry. Because even in their definition, they're kind of hard to really stick by. You know what I mean? Like, you could burn the flag, but you cannot burn your draft card. That's interesting to me. You know what I mean? That's like, okay, but I could burn.
You can burn the flag?
Yeah, you can burn the flag. You can burn the American flag if you want to.
Yeah, you can burn it.
Yeah, that has been considered freedom of speech.
That's freedom of speech.
There's no flag. They've tried to have a flag burning amendment and it's been shot down.
No, but you can't burn your draft card. That's in the law. You burn your draft card, you're done. You go to jail. That's crazy. It's like so when we look at it.
I mean, well, it makes sense because I had a conversation with my lawyer and she was talking about different law cases and why you get certain time. Like you get more time for like drug offenses than murder and guns. And she was like, the reason why is because money. You blocking the money from the government. So you burning your draft card. That means that you can't get drafted to the army. You can't. That's free labor to the army essentially. So if you're doing that, you blocking. Being used as an employee by the U.S. Government, essentially burning the flag, that don't stop their money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it all if you follow the money, you hit everything. Bing, 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 bing.
You follow the money. You definitely follow the money on that, Freddie B. That's a good one right there. So let me go back to it. What are some solutions to how can we? What are solutions for us to work around to try to prevent political correctness from just taking over everything? Solutions.
To prevent it?
Solutions. Anybody?
I mean, I don't foresee it stopping because the reason why it won't stop because political correctness and then cancel culture, all of it, it's multi-layered, and so like it pretty much is impossible. It's multi-layered. The first layer that I've seen that is probably my theory, probably more so falls under Freddie B's theories, is that it covers up racism overall. You can't really get down to the root of racism because you got all these layers of PC and you can't talk directly.
Exactly.
You can't because like racism, you got to corner that in the corner. Like, all right, ain't nowhere for you to go. Like, look, we got it all here. Bing, 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 bing. Mm-hmm. And until
but if you
get
can't
there,
corner it, then like you said,
exactly. It just keeps it just stays in the room.
And it's something it's something that's predicated on perception. And I had a boss when I was in college tell me one time about something that I was doing. I wasn't being prejudiced in this particular situation, but he told me perception is reality. And while that is not absolutely like 100% true all the time, there is truth in that. Perception is reality. If someone is perceiving a particular action that you are undertaking as something, there is some nugget of truth in that based on
for them,
what they're seeing.
For the person seeing it, right?
Correct. So you do have to take that person's feelings into account. You just can't dismiss their feelings. So political correctness is not going to go away because people's perceptions of a particular situation are not going to go away. You can't dismiss the perception. As long as you can't dismiss the perception and you have to consider their stance on a particular issue, political correctness is going to be around because you have to address that.
Well,
you can't address that with an absolute A or B.
Well,
then you have to get clarity also behind the perception.
Yes.
That's
that's
the other
tough.
part.
And that's tough because
but see, here's the thing about perception versus reality, though. That if you perceive an event to happen, you can say that event is real to you. But if but the fact of the event will always be what it was, no matter what the perception of the event is. If that makes sense.
I mean, well, I think like perception is reality is based off the law of numbers. So it's like right now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on this line right now. Thomas, Buddy Lee, Freddie B, Sean, the main event voice, and Alana Boo. So let's say, for example, everybody except for Buddy Lee looks at a wall and says it's red, but Buddy is over there saying like, no, it's black. But we all like, no, the wall is red. He keeps saying it's black. Then perception is reality. So the perception of the majority of the group, the wall is red. So the wall is red. That's how we're going to go forward. We're not going to go forward with the wall is black unless Buddy Lee can change each and every one of our perception or change the majority of our perception that the wall is red. So perception is reality.
If we have agreed upon previously that the color that we are now perceiving as red was another color.
And that's
the
back
point
to
I'm making.
And that goes back to something that I said before, and maybe I didn't articulate it the way or use the example that I should have. But that is why, that's why you have to open yourself up to the possibility that the wall could be blue. So we have to open our minds up. That's all I was saying when I was saying that we need to open our minds and we need to have that conversation. Because if it's your perception, but the reality could be something different. And you, as the person that is perceiving that, in order for true discourse to happen, you have to open your mind to the possibility that there is another perspective. And that's what happens a lot of times. People have their perspective, and that's the only perspective they have. They can't see the issue from another person's vantage point.
And here's the clarity on it. What if I was colorblind, and that's the reason why I said it's black?
There you go. And so if I don't know that, then I am going to make the assumptions. But if I sit down and have the conversation, or I don't ask the question, Buddy Lee, why don't you think that wall is red? Then he can say, I'm colorblind, and so I believe that's black. Oh, now I'm seeing it from another perspective. So that's all I'm saying. That we just need to somehow have that dialogue. And I know it's very difficult to have. I know it's very difficult with a lot of stuff to do.
But let me get us back on topic here, because I'm looking for solutions. Because what you guys posed was that there is no solution. And then you said, but then you have to be open-minded, because, we have to be open to whatever other
because there is no one. I don't think there is one solution. It's got to be a combination.
But we haven't
of a
presented a solution. Is what I'm saying. There's no.
My solution to that is
here we go.
You need to open your mind up. So open your mind up and be willing to open your mind up and be willing to have a conversation with the other side. That's going to start. That's going to start
correct. So the politically correct person having the conversation with the non-politically correct person. Is that what I'm hearing?
You need to be willing to open your mind to have an honest conversation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think
PC out of it.
Keep the PC out of it.
I think it's unrealistic, because telling somebody to open their mind up, like, what does that mean? Like, that's relative to a lot of people.
Well, it's kind of
but it's like I said.
For example.
But no, it's like I said,
go ahead.
If you have a particular perspective, if you are looking at the situation, whatever the situation is, from a particular vantage point, and you have this view, this is the situation, this wall is white, or this wall is black, or you are wrong. You have to be willing, even in your belief in saying that, and you believe that, open your mind up to the possibility, no matter how small it is, that maybe there's a different way to look at it. Maybe there's a different way to look at it. And even if it's 1%, and you can sit down and say, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen to this person. I believe what I believe, but I'm going to listen to this person. and honestly listen to them, to respect them as a human being, to listen to their opinion. Because if you're rooted in your opinion, and I'll shut up after this. If you're rooted in your opinion, if you are absolutely rooted in your opinion, and you don't even allow the person on the opposite side to open their mouth in opposition to even say what their opinion is, you're closed-minded. And so I'm just saying, open your mind. That's all. Right. Open your mind.
But what I'm saying is, the thing is when we talk about a solution, I mean, I would say there's no solution, but you're saying the solution is for people to open their minds. And when I'm talking about open. Go ahead.
I'm also saying this. I'm also saying that there is not one absolute solution, but you got to start somewhere, and that's why I'm saying that you got to start.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the starting point is opening your mind, but what I'm saying is the opening your mind part, that is so ambiguous. That's like exploring. That's like saying go explore the universe for something. And it's like, well, where do I start? Because the thing is, open your mind. Literally, I'm sure it means something different to each one of us. So, for example, you could say, Freddie, you need to open your mind. And in my mind, opening my mind to somebody else saying something could just be letting them talk. Like, okay, go ahead and talk. That's opening my mind. I'm opening my mind. I'm letting them talk. I ain't just get up and walk out like Piers Morgan. You can say that to Thomas. Thomas, open your mind. Thomas could be on the other end of the spectrum. Like, okay, you go ahead and talk and then explain everything. And I really want to put myself in your shoes and understand your background, where you came from, who your mom is, who your daddy is, how you arrived, and all that. And it's everything in between. And so what I'm saying is just opening your mind. That's very ambiguous. And that's why I say, okay, like, this is like probably almost a moot point with the PC, because you have so many layers opposite of that. Like I said before, like covering up racism. And then I forgot my other point. Go ahead. What you gonna say? It'll come back to me.
I was just gonna say that you and I believe that you're sticking on that phrase, open your mind. My solution to the beginning of this: someone has an opposite viewpoint, and when I say open your mind, what I'm saying is sit down, listen to the other person. We have stopped effectively listening to people. Sit down, and when I say open your mind, sit down knowing this person has a viewpoint that is opposite of what you feel, what your viewpoint is. Listen to what their viewpoint is. Process in your mind what you heard them say. Effectively and actively listen to what they say. Consider what they say, and see if it makes sense to you. And this is what I'm talking about. When I say open your mind, you're opening your mind to another perspective and another viewpoint, and considering whether or not it has any validity to you. That's being open-minded. When you listen to another person's point of view, listen to what they have to say and see if it makes any type of sense to you to process it.
So I just real quick, I just remember my second thing. I just remember what I forgot. My second thing of the layers of PC is also, because I mentioned this in another show, is the witch hunt thing. It's the whole thing, social media. And like, now people can say something, and then you might have heard somebody say something, and you ain't had no problem with it, but then you see all the comments and people replying like, "Oh, he bogus, he racist, he da-da-da." Like, yeah, he is racist. And then the pile on effect, and then you just hop in with the loudest one in the room, because you know what they say, the squeaky wheel get the grease. The loudest one in the room get the attention. Like, people just hop in. Like, you didn't even have a opinion at first, but then you just happen to see somebody getting roasted on Twitter. Everybody, you like, yeah, I'm gonna hop in too, and let me say my little thing, and then you caught up in the little ball. So I think that's also a part of it. And with the opening your mind, like, I mean, I agree, but the logicality and the realism of that actually happening with those two things I just said is slim to none. I think Slim just left town.
Well, I want to say to both of you guys, actually, political correctness in modern times is crowdsourced, right? It is people who are scared to say what they really want to say on your Facebook, your Twitter, and your Snapchat. But what ends up happening is that if we leave the marketplace of ideas, the people who are scared to really say what they want to say, we may end up being in a cycle of constantly offending or not offending people because we don't want these ideas to change. Like a progression will stop. You know, progression, because of political correctness, progression essentially would stop for ideas. And what would happen? And what would happen if we left the marketplace of ideas to people who are constantly offended and we don't speak up when we're not offended?
To boil it down to an even more basic point.
Well, that's a question, though.
I'm just saying, if you don't think and if you don't educate yourself with the truth, with the absolute truth, there is no growth.
Right.
You can't grow as a person.
And that's the thing. So political correctness being one of the things that covers the truth, it ends up, we get upset, right? The people who are people who are seekers of the truth will get upset because we're being taken over by the little minions of untruth, the little minions of truth maskers, you know? And I think that's the thing that we have to think about, right? When it comes to PC culture. So there's a guy, his name is Jonathan K. He offered a few solutions. Here's a few solutions. Number one, he said, do not be part of the problem. That's solution number one.
And water is wet. Okay.
Right.
Well, no, don't be a part. Well, no. Check this out. See, you make fun of it, but that's an actual solution. Why? Because if you choose not to participate in the PC culture, you now add to the people who are not a part of the PC culture. It can't keep growing if you're not part of the problem.
The reason why I laughed, because when you started, I thought it was about I thought he was about to have something like super deep, and he was like, "Don't be a part of it." Like, oh, okay, yeah,
that's just number one. We got more. It's just one, right? So and it's nothing PC culture does. It tries to silence people. You got to be careful with that too. Y'all watch that. Watch the PC culture. Watch the PC culture. Try to resist from the pressure to submit to PC culture. The submission to being shut up.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
And one of his
following along with it. Yeah, I don't get it.
And then his last thing is, well, he gives an explanation, but his last thing is voice your community regardless of offense. Yeah. Voice your community regardless of offense. And so this is now, that's a hard one to do because, you know, as you saw with Sheryl Underwood and not saw, but as you guys heard with Sheryl Underwood and Sharon Osborne, when she told her, "Don't you cry," my instant thought was, I'm human. And this hurts.
That was wild and titled.
That was, but she didn't say anything. So to be silent,
I mean, because Sheryl really couldn't. You know, she a black woman. It's like, and I read it in the comments. It was like everybody was saying, like, you see how Sheryl Underwood had to tiptoe that whole thing, but then Sharon Osborne could. She was just allowed just to go in, and it's just like
exactly
just cool. But if Sheryl had did that as a black woman.
But I think we got to stop that. We got to stop that right there because I shut that down in my own household. We just had a shoot not too long ago, and it was two ladies in there, and they was about to go in about. But if a woman did it, I said, hold up, stop. I disagree, because women who know what they're doing, I mess with them. I follow them. When you know what you're doing and you got it, I disagree. You can't say every man is attacking women because they just think, oh, because she got power. No, if she knows what she's doing, I'm with it. I don't care about her power. And the thing that I'm saying we got to stop is like when we say, oh, if a black woman do it. No, we got to stop that. We could stop that. Simply, yeah, no, she's human. So if she cries, she wanted to cry or whatever she wanted to do, she's human. She's reacting to the emotion of it. We got to be supportive of that. And that starts with us, not just men and women, but us as black people, us as human beings. That starts with us to say, you know what, we can't, if we allow that to keep going on, that rhetoric, oh, well, you know, if she had done it, you know what would happen. Hey, they would have knocked it down, right? While that may be true for some, it doesn't have to be true for all. And so I think that's part of the, you know, voicing our community, regardless of offense, regardless of what people think about us, right?
And one of the things that I believe that would really help, and this is something that probably you, Thomas, and Freddie B have gone through as far as like acting or whatever else, debates. They tell you to be able to speak for your opinion on how you feel and be able to argue against how you feel. Because if you can see both sides of it, it will open, it's kind of like what Sean said, it will open your mind to maybe, you know what, they might have a point. on how they said this, and this versus how I feel about it.
That's good.
Yeah, I think, Thomas and I, we've had that conversation before, talking about like debate teams. I think what you was on a debate team, Thomas? Or,
oh yeah,
you talking about?
Competed.
You talking about?
I competed.
No, you was telling me about our friend Clarence.
Oh, he won. See, I competed, but he was a winner. Clarence is decorated. That's a decorated son of a gun. 200. I think he had like over 200.
But and like anytime I have conversation, that's like my approach. Like, because I want to make sure, because I really hate saying a point and then somebody picking apart my point and making me look dumb. Like, oh snap, I didn't think about that. So like, if it's something I feel, I'm like thinking about why I exactly feel like that. Where is it coming from, and what could be the blowback, so I can be ready to go both ways. Pause.
I'm gonna say this.
See why you gotta say pause?
You have to say pause. We got you, man. We know you want to go both ways. It's cool.
So you were mad. You were really mad. So you were really mad at me. So you were really mad at me during that Super Bowl podcast. I'm sorry.
No, let me tell you something. Political correctness goes both ways. It goes
Thomas,
to right and left.
You talking about Thomas? Who?
You.
He talking about he was talking about when you was making all the suggestions of his of his answers and stuff.
Oh yeah. You talking about when he knew everything?
Yeah.
I was very angry. Yes, I was very, very angry. Yes, I was very, very angry. Yes, I knew everything. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, listen, political correctness can be America's form of intolerance perceived as tolerance. Hell, at this point in time, we have to be willing to at least push back where it makes sense. And I want to finish this podcast off with Alana. It sounded like you had to say, you fixed your mouth to say something. What you gonna say? I heard y'all heard that. She was like,
I was just give up my rapping. Well, I feel like you're about to wrap it up, but
yeah, I was. But go ahead.
Okay. So I just feel like the intention of being politically correct, the intention of being less biased, less racist, less sexist is good, but the intention kind of gets lost in the execution.
Exactly.
People are so concerned with being, like Freddie B called, the cancel culture. People are so concerned with being canceled that they just say what's considered to be right or appealing, instead of actually addressing why they feel that way in the first place.
The opinion of the crowdsourced opinion.
Exactly. So yeah, that's all I just wanted to say. I just think the intention is good, but I think it just gets totally lost in the execution.
To piggyback off what you said, the results are the truth is getting covered. And
exactly.
I think that's the danger, is that we cannot walk around with the truth unrevealed. It must be revealed what the truth is in the situation. If we perceive the wall to be blue, but we already agreed that color was black a long time ago. Just because we perceive it to be blue, don't mean it's blue. We have to change what we agreed upon before we can now attribute that attribute to the wall. I want everybody to fill this blank in. You don't have to go on a long diatribe, but you don't have to make it super short. But I want you to fill this blank in, and then we're gonna wrap up. I want to live in a society that
keeps it a buck.
I want to live in a society that keeps it a buck. Okay. But
I say I want to live in a society that lives in unity.
Sean.
I want to live in a society that demonstrates God's love to each other.
Alana.
Well, all right. I want to live in a society that is equal, fair, and just.
Okay.
I should have went last. Seems to me we have way too many feelings.
Way too many feelings.
I'm Thomas I'm T Staples, and I've been here with.
So what's your opinion? What's your opinion, Thomas?
Oh no, I'm leaving it at that. I'll let y'all give it, and we're gonna leave it right there. Listen, thank you guys for participating in our show about political correctness. It seems that we definitely have way too many feelings about PC culture. And hey, is it taking over? I think we are becoming a little too PC in today's society. So let's bring it down a notch, America. Come on, let's just take it down a notch. Send us a message. Our handles are in the description. Let us know how you feel about PC culture in America today. Are we becoming too PC? Let us know. We love to hear your feedback. This has been a good one. I've been here with
It's your main man, Freddie B. Yo.
And who else we got?
And it's your girl Lana Boo.
All right, booyah. And I thought, booyah, didn't you have a booyah with you?
That's
I got my booyah with me. You know, it's the main event voice in the building.
The one and
I love
only.
all of y'all.
Yeah.
The one and only.
He said, did he say you love all of us?
I said I love all of y'all.
Oh, man, we love you too, man. We love you too, man. We love you too, man. And who else?
He's so politically correct.
It's the good doctor, Dr. Buddy Lee.
He still ain't told us if you good or not. I need to see some credentials.
He being PC.
Oh, is it PC? I see. I get PC. I got PC. Gotcha. And listen, I'm yours truly, T Staples. And catch us next time when we have too many feelings. Peace.